Zeh hayom asa Hashem nogilo v'nischavoy. King David says in Psalms, this is the day which the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be happy on it. Today truly was such a day for both myself and my Rebbetzin Henya. Today is a day in which another of our grandchildren has entered into the covenant of Avraham Avinu. Our oldest child, our firstborn child, has now had his firstborn child, and we celebrated it. I think every parent would understand the great pain and difficulty which is involved in the rearing of children. And in fact, there is pain. Our rabbis call it pain. Sar Gidul Bonim, the pain of rearing children. The pain of seeing your children suffer with sicknesses that inevitably befall them. The pain of perhaps not having sufficient finances to do what you feel your children should have. The pain of perhaps not even having enough time for your family. The guilt which is associated with it. There are many forms of pain which are involved in the rearing of children. And yet somehow, when you reach this stage, that your own child is not only mature enough to have taken a wife, but now has his own child, somehow or the other, all of the issues of the past fade into the background and are replaced with a tremendous amount of inner joy, inner happiness, and a very deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. And you see that all the negativity that perhaps was experienced in the past for what it really was, just passing phenomena without any kind of reality, without any essential form of reality. What is real is the good. And on a day like this, that good comes forcefully to the fore. We find an allusion to something similar in this week's Parsha. In this week's Parsha, God speaks about blessings and curses. But there is a difference in terms of the way he relates to blessings and the way he relates to curses. When it comes to blessings, Moses says in the name of God, Habracha, the blessing, Asher Tishmu, when you will listen to the voice of God. But when it comes to curses, Moses says in the name of God, Bahaklala im loy sishmu, and the curses if you will not listen. The blessings are a matter of when. The curses either will or will not happen. They're a matter of if. And the meaning of this is very simple. That good is inevitable. It must happen. It's only a matter of when. Bad, evil, is not inevitable. It may or may not happen. But it's even really deeper than that, as our Chassidic masters explain. Good is of the essence, and that's why it's inevitable. Bad, even when it happens, is never of the essence. It's only on the surface. It's only superficial. In a way, it's only imaginary. And that's why the Torah speaks of it in terms of if, rather than when. The first Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, says it in this way. He says that when it comes to a mitzvah, any mitzvah that the person does, it lasts forever and ever. In his words, Yichud zeh lamayla nitzchi le'olam vo'ed. The unity which is achieved through the performance of a mitzvah, of a good deed, lasts forever and ever and ever. When a person does something wrong, when he does an act of evil, it's bad at the time, but ultimately it will be erased. The Lubavitcher Rebbe uses this idea and this notion to explain a Kabbalistic concept. We know that according to Kabbalah, there is an idea of reincarnation, where the soul, or certain aspects of the soul, which have not been fully realized in one lifetime, are reincarnated in a separate lifetime. And we also know that a person in his current lifetime has not only the power of the good which he has done in this lifetime, but rather he also has the power of the good which he has done in all previous lifetimes. It's, so to speak, like a midget standing on the shoulders of a giant. Or perhaps another analogy, like an iceberg, we only see a very small percentage above the water, but 90% or so under the water. And so also, in a person's lifetime, you don't only have the strength of the good deeds which you have in this lifetime, but also of all previous lifetimes. And you need to summon that up whenever you have a challenge. But Lubavitcher Rebbe asks a question. He says, well, if the good is cumulative, what about all the evil you did in previous lifetimes? Isn't that also cumulative? And he says, no. He says, evil is never cumulative. After a person passes on, all the evil he did during his lifetime, because it's superficial, because it's not eternal, is erased. He may have to undergo various forms of cleansing, called purgatory, in order to erase them, but they will be erased because they don't form part of his essence and they're not carried on. Whereas good is something which lasts forever and ever and ever, and therefore becomes cumulative. And I think this is the lesson that I would like to leave with you this week. That no doubt in each of our lifetimes there's always an experience of a certain amount of negativity. But if we remember that that negativity is just merely a superficial passing phenomenon, and therefore with that attitude don't take it all that seriously, whereas the good that we both experience and we do is something which is the very essence, and which lasts forever and ever, we'll end up focusing far more on positive and good things, and far less on negative and superficial things. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom, and may you too experience many, many simchas, many joyous occasions, and a lot of deep satisfaction from not only your own accomplishments, but from the accomplishments of your families, of your children, and of all those around you upon whom you have had influence. Shabbat Shalom.